Hello everyone, Richard here, and welcome to episode number 4 in my Insurgency Sandstorm weapon guide. Today we're going to be looking at an icon of order and the small arm representation of America's military dominance in the 21st century, the M4A1. Based on the M16 family of rifles, the M4 and M4A1 are in essence carbine variants, sacrificing barrel length in an effort to make the weapon easier to maneuver in close quarter battle and when embarking and disembarking from vehicles. Despite its shorter barrel length, the M4 is still a very accurate weapon with an effective range as far as 500 meters. The M4A1, the most common variant of the weapon, features single and fully automatic firing capabilities, differentiating it further from the M16A4 and A2 that it served alongside. In-game, the M4 is primarily a security forces weapon, used on almost every class including rifleman, demolitions, commander, and observer. It chambers the 5.56 by 45mm NATO round, giving it a similar ballistic profile to the M16, however with a lower velocity and slightly higher vertical recoil. The effective damage profile is very similar to the M16 as well, being a 2-shot kill at almost any range to armorless and lightly armored opponents. At roughly 45 meters, it does take 3 shots to kill heavy armor users with body shots, 35 meters shorter than the M16. This range is, however, much better than the G36K, which will take 3 shots to kill a heavily armored opponent at only 15 meters. Overall, the damage profile for the M4 is a nice compromise between the M16's long range and power and the MP7's close range killing power. Perhaps the biggest edge the M4 has over the M16 is its ability to fire in full auto. This allows the weapon to not only have increased damage per second, but also be more forgiving in close quarters battle. Its smaller size will also prevent you from being snagged on corners and windows. Its raw fire rate is also not bad at 741 rounds per minute, on par with the G36K and the M4A1's variant, the Mark 18. At close range, you'll be far superior to slower firing weapons like the M16 and AKM. Recoil is mild, featuring a slightly more recoil than the M16, likely due to the smaller gas system increasing pressure on the bolt during firing. However, with burst or tap firing, it is still quite capable at dealing with enemies at long range. Reloads will be essentially identical to the M16, which isn't surprising considering they're nearly identical in mechanics. Reloading the weapon will normally take 3.2 seconds to complete, and a quick reload where the previous mag is completely discarded will take 2.3 seconds. While not as quick as the AK family, it is far from cumbersome. Unsurprisingly, the M4 uses NATO Stanag magazines and therefore has a standard capacity of 30 rounds or 35 with extended magazine. Mags will feel a lot smaller compared to the M16, especially if you're clearing rooms or engaging in CQB, as you'll be more likely to resort to firing in full auto. That being said, it is good practice to at the very least check on your magazines after every engagement, as getting caught with an empty magazine will certainly spell your doom. Since you will be using ammo at a more rapid pace than the M16, a light carrier is highly recommended if you plan on surviving past your first contact with the enemy. Your starting magazine supply will be 3 magazines, light carriers will increase this to 5, and heavy carriers to 7. Attachment recommendations for the M4 can vary on the level of competency you have with recoil control and your ability to hipfire. Generally, I like to use the holographic or red dot and a foregrip in urban maps, and the 2x or 4x options for more open settings. Unfortunately, the M4 is rather expensive, meaning that you may have to make some concessions in equipment or attachments to accommodate this weapon into your build. My build recommendation would be the foregrip, optic of choice, light armor, light carrier, a smoke grenade, and a fragmentation grenade. Playing as a rifleman, the foregrip bipod can be beneficial and will allow you to lay down suppressing fire from a defensive position. As a commander, taking extra smoke grenades or a smoke grenade launcher may also allow you to better protect your troops from entrenched enemies or conceal your movement to better facilitate support operations. The M4 is a very good compromise between a dedicated CQB weapon like a shotgun or SMG and a long-range rifle like the M16. Use this to be an effective foil at all ranges, engaging breachers at long range and surprising riflemen and marksmen up close where they are vulnerable. While it is fun to use the M4 in rock and roll mode, be careful as it will severely limit your long and medium range accuracy as well as quickly deplete your magazines. Trigger discipline is essential, especially in a more realistic shooter like Insurgency. The M4 will likely suit more aggressive players that have a preference for the rifleman or command and control classes. While the Mark 18 will have an edge in maneuverability indoors, you'll be better off when the fighting moves outside and where a few inches in barrel length can make all the difference. The M4 is overall a very compelling weapon, especially when riflemen are forced into CQB. However, this will limit their ability to buy better equipment and slightly limit their long-range effectiveness. A jack of all trades for sure, and perhaps a master of none, but surely this weapon is better than staring down the barrel of an M4A1. Thank you very much for watching. Join us next time when we take a look at the Remington 870. Let me know what your favorite ways are to use the M4 in the comment section below. Also, feel free to subscribe so you never miss a guide, or check out my Patreon if you wish to support me further. Until next time, happy hunting.